Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chanel Hart D'Aprix. A lot of you know her, right? Just through conversations and interaction and engagement that she has here within this community, and she's spoken on here before. But Chanel has become a great friend and someone that shares a very similar mindset to all of us. And not only is she a good person, she's an excellent producer and Shana, I think last year, I don't know if you're on pace to do what you did, but it wasn't about 65 million is what you did.
Not quite that much, around 52.
52. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Goals, 2024 goals for sure.
So 52 million in production and with an even bigger heart to boot. And so Chanel, thank you for taking the time here. I'm going to jump after this. So Chanel, good luck.
Thank you, Nate. Good luck to you today.
Yeah, and thank you, everyone.
It's such a privilege to be here with you all today. And we're an intimate group, and I want you all to please feel free to jump in at any time. And as Nate shared, I am a solo agent in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I do know a majority of you on the call, but for those of you who I don't know, it is really wonderful to talk with you today. And I want to make the most of the time that you have set aside to spend with me. And so I really want to touch upon something that completely transformed my business almost 4 years ago. And that was the importance of defining who your ideal client is. And so, when a majority of us start out, I really feel like we just want to work with anybody, right? We get our license and we'll work cold calls, we'll work expired listings, we'll work open houses, we'll do lead gen. You'll work with your brothers, uncles, cousins, sister. I mean, honestly, anybody. But then very quickly, if you haven't already figured that out, you'll soon learn that when you decide to work with anybody, anytime, anywhere, all of a sudden your time and your efforts are really greatly diminished. And that's what happened to me. So when I joined real estate, I was just so excited and ready to jump in and help anybody that I said yes. I said yes all the time. And I call these agents who say yes all the time, I call them AAA realtors. And that means all accepting abode advisors. AAA. So literally they will just jump in and say yes no matter what. So no boundaries at all, which means that we are truly creating our life around our business. We're not creating our business around our life. And do you know what this leads to, guys? This leads to massive stress in your life. And then all of a sudden you lose sight of what your goals are. You lose sight of what's important to you. You completely forget about self-care. And you're just this gerbil on this wheel, constantly going and going and going. But, good on you that you're saying yes to anybody at any time, anywhere. But what ends up happening is that your business runs over your life. And then things start falling apart slowly but surely. Can anybody really align with this? Can I get a yes and a yes, right? I mean, for real. So I'm telling you, in our heart, we just want to serve and we want to grow our bank account for our family and we want to do everything that we can. But when we don't create those boundaries and we don't stick to our goals, then things really start going out of control for us. And we become what I call those AAA realtors. And I don't want you to be that. That's exhausting, right? We're just so eager to please and we want to make money, we want to provide, but it just doesn't work. But I just want you to imagine, if you will, what your business would look like, what your life would look like if you really started intentionally creating a very successful business where you are working with clients who literally check almost every single box that you have. So buying in areas that you already know and love, in price points that you appreciate, who have true respect for you. What does that mean? How does that happen? And I'm telling you, I had this aha moment in 2020 where I just was so tired of being on that gerbil wheel, even looking at what my bank account was. I realized that I could do so much more in such less time. And a part of that was creating our ideal client. Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, so what's an ideal client? I want us to dive into that first. It refers to a client who ideally and perfectly aligns with you. Well, the beautiful thing about real estate is that there is no one realtor who is exactly like the other. We all generally have one thing in common, which is we all have a license in place. That is it. But that's where it ends. After that, we are all very, very different. We are very different in what our goals are, to whom we want to attract, to what we say yes to what we're willing to do, to why we're in the business. Then it's all very, very different. So it's really interesting because I've gotten this question a lot as to, well, doesn't everybody want the same ideal client, Chanel? Actually, no. I'm telling you, if I took a poll right now and I said, and I just essentially listed out who my ideal client was, I may get one, maybe two of you who would somewhat align with that. But when you really start diving into who your ideal client is, it's as unique as you are. And I want you to remember that. Then not everybody wants to work with a first-time home buyer. Not everybody wants to work relocation. Not everybody wants to work with luxury. But if you don't actually take the time to really figure out who your ideal client is, then you're saying yes to everything, which means you're saying no to a lot of things. So we're going to dive into what this is. But an ideal client truly is just someone who is the optimal fit for your real estate practice. So what I want you to start thinking right now is, who is my ideal client? And I'm just going to scroll through right now. Does anybody have any idea right now who their ideal client is? Just raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, Jordan, I see that hand up. Share with us who your ideal client is.
It's somebody who enjoys modern technology, somebody that likes to respond quick, use texting, and who likes to have fun.
Who likes to have fun? I love that. Shelly, share with us.
We have a couple of different targets depending on where in my team. One ideal client for us is military PCSing to the area that needs help and needs somebody that understands what they're going through. So I have a whole group of people that have probably PCSed themselves in the past because they're military. So we connect with them and help their families connect. We also have a distressed property division, and that perfect client for ours needs solutions, and we have lots of solutions in our bag to be able to talk to them and help them. Our first goal as a team is always to try to help them stay in their home rather than lose their home or have to sell it to a wholesaler. We have that bag in our, that trick is in our bag, but our person is probably confused, doesn't know the answers, might even have equity in their house, and we show them how they can stay in their home if that's the solution. And if not, then we can help them with that. So those are our two primary, and then we also do vacation management. So this person probably is high wealth. They're looking for a second home, and we know why our market is the best. If you're looking for a beach house, why we're the best, because we have a funnel of people from Columbus to across to Boston and down, of 55 million people that are in a one-day trip to Virginia Beach versus going to the OBX or further south, which is a harder. And we also have a national airport. So for being able to have a sustainable vacation managed vacation property, we know exactly what to do to target and help them. So we have three different primary perfect clients that we know what they're looking for and how to take care of them.
So Riami, you are in the same area. Is that similar to your ideal client, or is it different?
It's somewhat different, but also the same, because right now, like the clients that I do work with and I really enjoy working with as well are like I have a lot of military clients here. But what I do notice is when I set the intention and the vision, and just by writing it out, this is my ideal client. Well, in that aspect, well, if I'm working with a veteran or active duty member, their desire has to be to create investment opportunities for themselves. So that's like one aspect of my ideal client. And then I've got my other end in my luxury division where her name is Kathy. Kathy is 55 years old and she's got a lifestyle that she wants to continue to have, but she's also looking to downsize. Not change not change the lifestyle, because she loves her lifestyle, because she loves her freedom. She just wants to downsize her house and be with her family. And her goal is to just make sure that she creates a home for herself and her growing her grandbabies. So that is that, and she's got a
Very
name.
different groups, right? But
Yeah,
very
very different
specific.
groups.
Yeah, I love that. Nina.
Sorry about that. So be careful, right, of what we ask for, because you're going to get exactly just that. And I said I was listening to a lot of podcasts today about mindset and not thinking big enough. So I journal every morning, as Chanel already knows, and I have my affirmations and everything that I do. And one of the things that is in every single one of my journals every single morning is I'm going to get another client today that is I'm specific. I'm like a buyer who is at minimum 500,000 plus and a seller who's at minimum of 800,000 plus. And sure enough, each week I'll get a referral along those lines, right? And then I'm like, man, am I cutting myself short just stopping at these numbers,
Right?
right? Like
That's it.
I also do a lot about raising my floor, raising my standards. And so I'm willing to, like, I've set my standard, my base, right? Like, well, now what I'm attracting at 500,000 plus. Not that there's anything wrong with this, people. I'm grateful for every single thing that comes in. I am. But when thinking about who's the ideal client, what am I attracting? What am I putting out there? What am I literally attracting to me because I'm putting it into the universe every single day? And then I just had, like, right before this one that came in via Instagram, and I'm like, this is great. And I'm very grateful for it. But again, I set that base because I attract it every single day with what I write out, because I do this ideal client every day.
Well, it's so incredibly important. And I really appreciate you all sharing that, because what was happening before in my business is that I was just so anxious and excited, number one, to help and serve. But number two, I wanted the business. And I thought if I say no to that, that's an opportunity, that's money going out of my bank account. But then what ends up happening is then you start compromising what you know is right for you just because you want to get the money into your account. And so when you say yes to one thing, you say no to something else. So I always remember that. So I had to shift my dynamics and who I wanted to work with. And when I shifted those dynamics, I decided that I wasn't going to reduce my income by shifting my dynamics. I was really going to, and we're going to dive into this, I was going to be extremely specific with my marketing, with everything that I was doing for that ideal client, and that's who I was going to attract. So I went from 18 million in 2020 to over 50 million in 2024. And I'm 95% referral based and sphere based, very similar to Chevron Group. And it's because I'm very specific, and that's what we're going to go through. So other than working with people who resonate the most with you, here are some really great reasons that I want you to dive in deeper into who your ideal client is. So the first one is, I really have found that it enhances your efficiency. It enhances your efficiency. How many of you know what your hourly rate is? And if not, we're going to dive into that on a different call, because if you don't know what your hourly rate is, then you have no idea what value you hold and what you can say yes to and what should be given to something else. As you've heard Austin and Nate really dive into deeper on other things. But going through the exercise, right? And knowing that once you know what your hourly rate is, then you can really be much more efficient with your time. So when you know exactly who your ideal client is, you can tailor your services and your communication to those very specific needs and preferences. So there's no time wasted. So it's going to get unique, I'm sure, for Riami and for Shelly, because they have very different ideal client groups, which means they're going to have to diversify their marketing that they're doing, but at least they're really specific on what they're doing. But you can streamline your process and your resources, and you can really focus them on the activities that resonate with those ideal clients. So as opposed to just throwing something up on Insta, throwing something up on Facebook, that's just general, just listed, just sold. When you really start becoming very specific as to who your ideal client is, your ROI is going to exponentially increase. There's no question about it. It reduces the wasted time and effort on the prospects who are just not going to be a good fit for your services. Again, saying yes to something means saying no to something else, but saying no to something means saying yes to something else. So aligning with that ideal client is extremely important. Going on to maximizing that ROI, targeting your ideal client allows you to allocate your marketing budget more effectively. I do not want you to just throw a dart randomly at that dartboard and go, oh, I'm wishing and praying that it hits something. when you throw that dart, you are specifically throwing it to that ideal client. And so your chances of ROI are exponentially higher. I know that you all just want the business, but if you get really specific, number one, as to what you're really good at, who you like to be around, and what your niche is and what you're serving, I'm going to tell you that's when your business starts doubling and tripling overnight. So really maximizing that marketing ROI is going to be huge. So really avoiding those broad, generic marketing. I know we've all seen them. I mean, we could literally pull up Insta right now and make fun of some people, but we won't, not on this call, obviously. But, just really it being so broad and generic, it's not speaking to anybody because it's speaking to everybody. So when you're speaking to everybody, you're truly not speaking to anybody at all. It is not going to resonate with one single person. And we'll go a little bit deeper into that. Really building those strong client relationships right there, understanding what your clients' needs are, their pain points, how you're connecting with them, what you're doing with them. That's going to be huge. Tailoring those communications to your clients. If you've got a young tech person, they're not going to pick up their phone. You all know this. They're going to want to go ahead and either going to go through Insta messaging. They're going to want to text. They're literally, you may never even hear their voice until you meet them in person at the closing table, to where your clients of an older age are absolutely going to want that phone call. So, once you know who that ideal client is, you can align what that communication system is right away. That really leads, again, to a much stronger, more trusting relationship with those ideal clients, which leads to more referrals, which leads to a stronger sphere of influence, which leads to, again, a higher ROI because you're not spending money on lead gen, you're spending your time, effort, and energy on the referrals that are coming in. So it really just makes sense. I want you, if you haven't already, really establish your niche. I want you to establish your niche because that is going to align with who you are, and it's really going to allow you to dive really deep into that ideal client. I mean, it's just, imagine, again, if you're talking to everybody, that just doesn't work. So I always say that I didn't go into real estate to be a luxury agent, but luxury found me. I started helping people with rentals because I did a lot of rental properties in Miami. In Miami, at that time when I was there, they pay you a full month's rent when they rent for that year, which could be anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000. I was doing okay. I came to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and obviously I hadn't built my base. I didn't have my sphere. And I said, you know what, husband, don't worry. I'm just going to work the rentals. We'll be just fine. Well, guess what? Yeah, Nina's laughing. She knows. $100, $200 tops is what you receive on rentals here in Chapel Hill. So I really had to figure things out. But in the meantime, I did that for the time being because that's what I knew. Well, what ended up happening is that I focused on neighborhoods that were more high end. So people who were moving in, guess what they did? Number one, they loved that I helped them. I actually picked up the call because nobody in our area is doing that at $100 or $200. But then 9-12 months later, guess who they called when they were ready to buy a home? And that home was between $900,000 to $2 million, $2 million, $900,000 to $2 million. And so that is what started me into the luxury business. And it was just based on really that niche. Now that I know that niche, anybody who follows me on Insta, on Facebook sees that it's very geared toward the luxury market in my area. I speak to the luxury market because that's what my brand is, that's what my niche is, and my ROI is based all on that. It's going to increase your revenue overall. That's the last one. Because when you work with clients who really align with that ideal client profile, your transactions are just smoother. Who's ever worked Zillow leads? I'm telling you, I started those and did those in the beginning of my business, and it just always seemed to be an issue. There was a communication issue. We just didn't connect. That connection was missing. I ended up spending so much time with those people. And guess what happens? Literally, I mean, I got paid less because Zillow was taking a split. It was coming from somebody else, and it was a massive headache for me. And so I'm telling you, trust in yourself, do the work in figuring out who your ideal client is. And I'm telling you, it's going to pay off in spades. So just following up on that, increasing the revenue. When you do that and you really spend the time, what ends up happening is that you're going to repeat your business. You're going to repeat the number of referrals that come in, and they're going to leave positive reviews. So even people that you don't know are going to go on your Google reviews, in your Zillow reviews, and they're going to see what amazing work you do. For those of you who have really been only focusing on Zillow reviews, I want you to really focus on building out your Google reviews, because that has been shown exponentially over the last 6 to 12 months. That's where more ROI is going to be seen, is on your Google reviews as opposed to your Zillow reviews. So I really want you to keep that in mind as well. Any questions up to this point? Moving on. So creating your ideal client profile. I'm really impressed that some of you have already done this work. That's incredible, but I really, let's just take it even a step further and deeper. So after our time today, I've already created a document that I can send to each of you. That's just a very simple exercise to really allow you to dive much, much deeper into creating that ideal client. So the first thing that you do when you're creating your ideal client is I really want you to dive into your past transactions and your current transactions. You might see a trend that you're not even aware of. You might see a specific demographic as far as age, as far as race, as far as cultural backgrounds, what language is being spoken. There might be some sort of pattern there that you aren't even aware of, that you are just naturally attracting to yourself. So take some time to do that. I want you to go ahead, go even deeper into those psychographics and see if there's a pattern there at all and what those behavioral patterns are. I want you to identify the common traits and the interests and the pain points that you're having with all of your clients in the past. Is it that they're all moving from out of town and they just don't understand the area? They need to further understand what the schools are like. They need to further understand, some people really love, what type of restaurants are in the area, what type of culture is in the area. And of course, we have to be careful as realtors to not cross certain lines. Don't you love those questions? How are the schools? Are there young people in the area? Are there people of color? I'm like, I highly recommend you come when the school bus drops off the kids, and you can just get a feel for the area. But those can be very direct questions that you can't always directly answer. But you might find that you are naturally aligning yourself with investors, or you're naturally really drawn to first-time home buyers. It was so funny because I coach as well, and one of my clients said, Chanel, it just makes me so happy when I work with first-time home buyers. When I see that they purchase their first home, I cannot even tell you how that feeds my soul. And I said, well, then we know your ideal client. Not everybody likes to work with first-time home buyers. Some actually will avoid it at any cost. Well, actually knowing whom you don't want to work with is as powerful as knowing with whom you do want to work with. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. Really compiling that information, that detailed persona, that fictional representation of your ideal client is going to help you so much. So I'm just going to read this to you all because I've been honing in on my ideal client now for a while. Try not to laugh out loud. So this is my ideal client. Olivia Sterling is a successful pediatric surgeon at the renowned UNC Chapel Hill Hospital. Go Heels. She's been dedicated to a career for over 15 years and is well respected in her field. Olivia and her husband, David, who's a tenured professor at UNC, have 3 wonderful boys. Their ages are 8, 10, and 12. Olivia is fluent in French, while David dabbles in Spanish and Italian. The Sterlings enjoy living a healthy lifestyle. They have a vacation home in Asheville where they spend long weekends and holidays, and the boys are each involved in different sports. They love going out together with couples and leave the kids at home to dinner on occasion, as well as grabbing a show at the Durham Performing Arts Center. The boys attend public school, and they're both considering private for high school. Do you see how very, very deeply I'm going into this? Olivia and David have come to the decision that it's time to upgrade their family home to better suit their growing family's needs. They're looking for a luxurious property that not only reflects their status, but also allows them ample space for their kids to play, study, and thrive socially. Olivia really envisions a home that has modern amenities and also Southern charm. She values her time immensely due to her demanding job and family commitments. She's seeking a realtor. This is where you all get lost sometimes. An ideal client is not just about what they look like and what their background is, but it's what that client is looking for in a realtor. seeking a real estate agent who can streamline the home buying process and present her with carefully curated listings that match her criteria. Olivia appreciates professionalism, attention to detail, and a real estate agent who understands the importance of finding a perfect balance between family life and career aspirations. Olivia embodies the type of ideal client for me who not only seeks expertise in the luxury real estate market, my niche, but also values the balance that she feels that I personally have achieved as a wife, a mother, and a real estate agent. My local knowledge, my commitment to excellence, and my ability to understand her specific needs make her and her family a perfect match for me. So when I tell you, I just read to you probably 85% of the people that I work with. 85% of the people that I work with. Now, I didn't have to put a price point in there. You all can assume what that price point is. When I say luxury and she's a pediatric surgeon, a majority of my clients are now local and they're making a move either up or down, but she's educated, she speaks multiple languages, they have children. This checks all the boxes. Doesn't mean that every single person who comes to me is like this. No, I help people downsize, I help people upsize, but generally 85% is this right here. So that I just want you to keep that in mind. So now that we've gone through the exercise, which I'm going to share with you after all this, of who your ideal client is, how do you really apply that to your profile and to marketing? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but I really want to narrow down some that are really important to you all. One of them is I want you to take your entire database, and I know you all have databases. If you don't, we need to have a conversation on the side about that. But if you do, I want you to start segmenting them based on your ideal clients, because when you do that, it allows you to really personalize the content and what you're offering to every single group. Not all of you are going to have worked on this for as long as I have and have a majority of your people that can fall into that same parameter. So Shelly's a perfect example. She has 3 very specific groups of ideal clients she works with. Riami has 2 very specific groups that she works with. She is not going to send the same marketing and communicate the same way to those groups. So in order to do so, to make it easier for her to maximize her time, to maximize her ROI, she is going to then take her database and she's going to divide them based on those ideal client spaces that we have. That's really going to make a massive difference for her. You're going to be able to craft your targeted content based on these groups. You're not going to send the same marketing materials. You're not going to write the same blog posts. You're not going to create the same social media content to everybody. Remember, if it speaks to everybody, it speaks to nobody, right? So you're going to really, as you're speaking to your ideal client, and if it's more than one, you really need to start aligning what those messages are on social media with that ideal client. If you want to attract a woman of a certain age who's relocating from out of state, who's buying at a certain price point, then your social media needs to speak to that, because that is who's going to start reaching out to you. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Absolutely. So then choosing the right channels of communication, and we talked about this a little bit, right? So, really figuring out is making phone calls, during your 4 days of your run week. Is that the best way to communicate with these clients? Is it going to be sending out text messages on a regular basis? I mean, what's really going to speak to you when you're doing all of this? I think that that's going to be really important. Tailoring your marketing, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, you must spend time on doing this. This is when I saw a massive shift in me being able to attract the ideal client who was coming to me. It exponentially increased my median number. So my median listing and overall sales price is about $850,000. And it's because I've tailored all of my marketing specifically to my ideal client. So you've got to personalize all of your marketing materials. Well, if you don't know who your ideal client is, you have absolutely no idea who you're personalizing it to at all. So I need you to take time to really personalize it, because that shows them that you actually care about who they are. You're actually speaking to who they are. If it's sellers, then it needs to be to them. If it's buyers, it needs to be to them. And then you work down from there. Highlighting relevant properties. You're not going to send a $250,000 duplex for an investor to a client who's high end and looking for homes, anywhere from 900 to $2 million. I mean, you're going to really miss the mark. And what's going to end up happening is if you're continuously sending out the same marketing to every single person, you're going to start losing people. So really ensuring that you are maximizing your time by putting your database into very specific groups and then sending out those marketing pieces to those groups, it's just going to keep them in your group for a much longer period of time. Engaging on social media is really huge too. This is really about building relationships and staying top of mind. So when you find those properties, if they're relocation clients and you send them specific events that are going on in the area, if schools are really important to them, send them the most recent superintendents or the school board's meeting. Things like that are going to make a massive difference. Educational content, I cannot even speak highly enough about. Educational content is what makes you different from every other realtor out there. So how many put out just listed or just sold, or you see that on a regular basis, but you don't take the time to educate other people on everything that's going on in your area? Probably the number one question that I'm getting right now, and I'd love to hear from everybody else, is what's going on with the rates right now? When is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to sell? I know we're just in February, and at least for us, spring market doesn't start until April. Should we wait, or are rates going to go down? So if I'm hearing these same questions over and over again, what does that tell me? That tells me that I need to take the time to make specific videos that I send out on social media, specific bomb videos I send out to that clientele that's answering those questions in advance. So if you wait until somebody comes to you with a question, you've already missed the boat. If you are responding to trends you're seeing in questions along the way, you are so far advanced from all the other agents in your industry, I cannot even tell you. And if you're like, Chanel, I have no idea. I don't get questions on a regular basis. Go into Chat GPT, go into Google and say, what are the most highly asked questions in Google or on the internet right now about real estate in my specific area? And I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to probably get a list of 20 things. Pull out the top 5 that make the most sense to you and make no more than a 30-second video on each and send it out to that specific ideal client list. That in and of itself is going to make you a rock star superstar. Because when you're educating people, you don't even have to tell them that you're an expert, because you just showed them you're an expert. So it will immediately speak to, number one, how you really take your business seriously and that you are here advocating for them and you are absolutely the expert in your industry. So that is huge. Call to action, don't ever send out an email, please, without a call to action attached to it. Every single time. Do not just send out an email to check the box and say, I sent out an email. What call to action have you attached to every single email that you send out? Is it, I don't know, I just sent one out for Valentine's Day that said, reach out, share with me your very favorite restaurant and you'll be entered in for a free night for 2 for Valentine's Day. A call to action every single time keeps your people engaged with you. I have a Facebook group that I created for my VIPs, which quite honestly are all of my past clients and those whom I'm currently working with and those I want to work with. And I'm constantly doing giveaways and things to make them feel special. So things like that, calls to action all the time, are ways to keep your people engaged with you. Feedback and communication. I highly recommend, if you all are not doing this already, to implement feedback throughout the process of any transaction, from beginning all the way to end. Because by creating feedback and the opportunity for feedback, number one, people love to be heard. They love it. And not at the end when you're asking for the very most raving, most awesome positive review ever. They want feedback along the way. How was my, once you have the listing, what was your experience with me when I had the listing presentation? Great. So what was the experience when we put your home on the market? What could we have done better? No, it's not always about getting the best response back. It's about, where are our holes? Where could we be better? How was my transaction coordinator? How's my executive assistant? How is our marketing? What's the response been from your neighbors, from your friends on everything that we sent out? All of those things along the way are just opportunities for you to be better and do better all the time. Implement feedback along the way to ensure that you're being the best and doing the best that you can. So I'm going to take a breath for 2 seconds. Any questions up to this point? I know y'all aren't shy. Come on now. Okay, we'll move on. So the next one is huge. It's leveraging digital tools. And a lot of you do a good job at this. I do an okay job at this. This is a part of me that I really want to grow because I am so strong in my sphere and referrals that means that I have not spent as much time leveraging all the digital tools that I can to really make the most of social media. So one that's really top of mind for me is Instagram advertising. I mean, it's huge for me in particular, but you have to choose the advertising that aligns best with your ideal client. So that goes back to doing this exercise of figuring out who your ideal client is, so you can figure out where to spend the money for advertising, for Facebook, for Instagram, for Google Ads. Where are you going to get your highest ROI? You know, throwing money at all three of them and crossing your fingers and hoping and praying is just not going to work. It's when you actually know who that ideal client is, then you can figure out where you need to spend the money to really create that ROI to bring in the most amount of business for yourself. So obviously Facebook advertising, and we can dive into that on another call. Instagram advertising is huge. Google Ads is massive right now. Email marketing, we talked about that a little bit. How many of you are happy with your real estate website? Let me go through and see. How many do I actually see with their hands up? None. Not one. Yeah, guys. So, oh, Riami, I love it. We have one person who's actually happy with their
I wish my hand could go like this instead of
So share with us a little bit, because it seems like a lot of us can learn and get value from sharing why you're so happy with your website.
Well, I'm happy that because it's aligned with like my ideal client, even though I work with a lot of VA buyers and active duty members here, because that's my goal and vision is to actually be able to, like, you know, to achieve the goal that I want. That is my main marketing is with the luxury division. So my website itself, it's good. It's what I don't like about it is that it's not fully customized to me. There's still a lot of elements in there that is very general. So when you go on there, you see me, but you don't see me. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. So we can dive into this on a private call, but I would highly recommend that you start putting personal videos on there, more about you, and give yourself an opportunity to educate your ideal client on what's going on in your area. So you all are missing the boat. Every single one of you are missing the boat on getting in front of potential clients and ensuring that you keep your current sphere in place by sending those videos out on a regular basis. Just 30-second videos, guys. Just educating people on what's going on, because then they automatically see you as the expert. But Riami, thank you for sharing. Nina, tell us about your website.
I spent a lot of money on my website, so I better like it. I did go the extra distance to have it be something that if I chose to no longer work with the company that created it, that it was mine, so I own it. They're always willing to fully customize it. One of the things that we're working on is having, and everybody else doesn't know on here, but I'm very comfortable on video. So I have a ton of YouTube videos, and we've customized which ones are on there. Anytime I post even to Instagram, my Instagram reels go up there. So my website is constantly getting a refresh every single time I'm doing something, even on social media, because I'm having it cross post to there. So it's going to rank higher because of those types of things. And we're always in communication to see how can we make it better? What can we do? So the one thing that we're working on right now is doing exactly what you said, which is having a buyer video and having a seller video, and me speaking directly to those two groups separately and what it is that I can help them with. Again, they don't know it, but you know it, that I'm very, I love to educate. So all of my videos are educational based. So I'm always doing that kind of thing. But back to what you said, the ideal client is, who am I speaking to, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those are speaking to first-time home buyers, people who are new to North Carolina. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if I want to attract that luxury client, the conversation's very different. They don't care about the same topics of of what it is that I'm creating. So then my web person is so fantastic. Should we have a spin-off? Should we do something separate for just the luxury client? And that's the other thing that we're working on right now.
That's it. You nailed it. So I will tell you, each of us in our separate states have very unique ways, the process that you purchase a home. So the state of North Carolina is very different from Indiana, is very different from Michigan, is very different from Virginia. The very best videos that all of you can create right now is a series of videos of how to purchase a home in Indiana, in Virginia, in North Carolina. And don't make it one long video. I want you to split them up in 30 to 45-second videos each. And I'm going to tell you right now, that will bring you more buyers than anything else. It is unbelievable. And really craft it based on your ideal client. And I'm going to tell you, these are things that you already know. You live and you breathe them already. And you're staying secret agents. And so get out from, behind your emails and from behind your websites and really start making those videos that are educating people, but start with things that you know, because then you're very confident and you can be fluid with that. You all need to look at the analytics that you have coming in on what emails are opened, who is opening those emails, who is looking at your website, where are they coming from? Because either you are really hitting the target of your ideal client or you're missing it completely, but you don't know that unless you actually look at the analytics that are coming in. So you've got to take the time once you created, crafted, and are sending out your emails to your ideal client on a regular basis, because that's the only way that you can really pivot and make those shifts and changes. I think that that's huge. If you all don't know about HomeBot, I'm guessing a majority of you do, sign up for HomeBot for $25 a month. And if that is too much for you, we also need to have a separate conversation. But you can literally add, I think, I'm not kidding, maybe up to 500 people onto that. And you want to know what's going on with people you want to have business with and you figuring out what's going on. Sign up every single person you want to work with, your entire sphere, your entire past client list, and add their home to HomeBot and see the open rate on HomeBot. My open rate for HomeBot is around 92% month after month after month, because it is unreal. Everybody wants to know what the value of their home is. Every single one. The great thing about HomeBot is that it lets you know exactly who opened up the email. And it also, it blows my mind. They'll go in and, oh no, the mortgage isn't right. The square footage isn't right. They want to go in and get the analytics exactly perfect. That tells me that they are very, very engaged into knowing exactly what their value is. And then I'll see if they go back in, maybe 14 days later, 21 days later. That tells me to reach out to them a day or two later. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and share with you a little bit about what's going on in the market. I want to share with you what's going on overall with the value of your home, what's going on in your neighborhood. I'm just going to send you over a quick CMA and let you know what's happening right now. So it allows you to be in the forefront at $25 a month, guys. Do you know how much business I get off a HomeBot? It's bananas. But that, again, are just easy and simple ways. Easy and simple ways. If you have Nextdoor in your neighborhood, that is a simple and free way to absolutely lay the foundation that you're an expert in your neighborhood. And I'm happy to share a Nextdoor post with any of you. Just reach out to me. And it essentially, I live in a neighborhood of 450 homes. Every single, the beginning of every single month, so we just posted it yesterday, is I just want to share with you what's going on in the preserve at Jordan Lake in January. This is the number of listings under contract, sold, days on market. This is what's happening in Chatham County. This is what's happening in the Triangle. This is what's happening in the country. I just put it all in there. I don't need to sell my services. I just did, because I consistently give them that information every single month. Then they go to my website. Then they go to my social media. And because I've really aligned it with my ideal client, guess who reaches out to me? The people who that resonates with, right? So this is how the circle just continues to build, is when you're consistent with the information that you provide and you align it with your brand and who you want to attract. Networking and referrals. If you all are not a part of your local Chamber of Commerce, I want you to join today. I want you to join today. Join your chamber of commerce. And it seems very old school to join your chamber, but I am telling you, it is the quickest and best way to align yourself with other professionals in your area for referrals. And guess, I mean, it probably costs less than $150, but it is a beautiful way to align with other people who want to do nothing but give to other local businesses because they want the same for themselves. So networking and referrals, I'm more on the luxury side. So my husband and I joined a country club. And we found that we were surrounded by individuals who also had a certain net worth. Because they had that net worth and they saw me as a professional in my field, that was a great way to garner business. I also reached out to financial advisors. I also reached out to estate attorneys. You have to align yourselves with professionals in your area that really align with your ideal client. That's super, super important for those referrals. So really growing your real estate business lies with identifying your ideal client. That's what it comes down to, right? And here are some steps. So I'm going to send you that 2-page sheet. I'm going to make sure that Nate puts it up in Kajabi. But if you want it personally, just reach out to me by email, through Insta, by text, and I'll make sure that you get it. You've got to dig deep into who your ideal client is, because you are too valuable to be wasting your time running around with Zillow leads, showing things that do not align with the business that you want to build. Because otherwise, guys, I'm telling you, you're going to start living that life based on your business, right? So you want to build a business, you want to live the life you love, not the other way around. So if you don't do the work on the front end, the work is going to do it for you, which means you're going to be the gerbil on the hamster wheel. Wait, the hamster on the wheel. Constant, right? Just constantly running and running and running and running and really not building that time, effort, energy that you've already worked so hard for. So research and gathering the data, really identifying what's aligning with you with the common traits. And then I really want you, once you have that ideal client, it's about tailoring those marketing messages to those specific groups. So if you're sending out a mass email to every single person in your database, you haven't done the work. And I'm telling you, you will see a massive difference. If you have an ideal client list of 50 as opposed to a massive database of 1,000, the amount of business you're going to get is going to increase 10x. If you start doing nothing but applying your marketing and applying everything you're doing to that ideal client, then you're going to be able to really efficiently get that ROI on all of the money that you're putting into advertising, because you're going to know exactly to whom you're speaking to, and they're going to respond much more heavily. 92% home bought. And it's solely because I send it to people who align with who my ideal client is. They look me up. Everybody's going to search you, and they see, wow, she's checking a lot of my boxes. They don't even know why I'm checking their boxes, but I am. It's because I've already done the work for them, and they just have come to the realization of that's exactly what happened. Then aligning yourself with the referrals and with other professionals who also align with that ideal client is going to be huge for you. So I'm going to open it up to questions now. I think we have 10 minutes left. Let me just see if there's any questions in here. Oh, I love that, Riami. That's perfect. Cody.
All right, so I got a question for you. So
Yes.
kind of like what Shelly was saying, like if her team has different, I guess one person may have a specialty, another person may have a specialty. How do you tailor the team's post towards things like that? And I know that personally you can kind of do it yourself.
Absolutely. So I would highly recommend looking at how many transactions you have per ideal client group. And if they seem to be fairly balanced, I would go ahead and balance out the amount of marketing you do based on either, number one, the number of transactions that are coming in, which those number of transactions are going to tell me how successful you are at actually getting those people across the finish line. And those are where your referrals are going to come to. But also, which group do you really want to build? Which group do you want to grow? And I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be equal in that group. It's not. Even with all three, Shelly might say the exact opposite of what I just said. But my guess is that there's going to be one that's going to add a much stronger ROI to your bottom line than the other two. So I would highly recommend that you differentiate your marketing based on that percentage. If you want to grow group number one by 50%, then I would match your marketing to that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Nina.
So I'm looking at who my referrals come in from, right? And where, like, what type of referrals am I getting? And number one, who are they coming from? And then what type of client are they referring? So, because at the moment with my team, they're working with all of the YLOPO leads and I'm still working my referral base.
Right.
So I think my question is, now that I'm looking at this more carefully, my ideal, right? Like this avatar that I want to work with, this persona that I want to work with is not what's coming in consistently from my referral base, because that's the group that knew me from church or from school or from whatever. Right. So it's a very different clientele than what I'm looking to attract. So I think I'm just having that moment of, again, different marketing for different groups, but that's still, you know, I'm 90% referral base as well. And so when I look at, I'm obviously not going to cut that off.
No. And what you're doing is working on the referral base, right? So that's not going to go anywhere, but you need to be mindful about what business you want to grow. So then that goes back to, who is that ideal client? I will tell you, I don't have the patience to work relocation anymore. I just don't. I did that in the beginning. I did rentals and relocation, and that's not my jam. I don't enjoy it. I will refer that out all day long because that does not bring me joy. And it literally, because it doesn't bring me joy, I end up spending more time toward it than I want to. And by saying yes to that, I'm saying no to the things and the people I really want to work with. So, you know, guys, don't ever say no to something. Refer it out and get the referral on it for sure. But be confident in saying no to one so you can grow what you really want to grow, because then that's where that new referral base is going to start building, right? That's where all those new things are going to start growing. That's going to start implementing your business. And I keep seeing it year over year over year. It keeps honing in more and more and more. So then I'm very specific, as opposed to throwing the dart with my blindfold on at the dartboard. I'm very specific as to whom I am targeting. It's crazy. It's almost like when somebody, you use predictive analytics on something and you can see that they see you, but they don't know you see them, and then you reach out to them. It's similar, right? Like if you're doing your job well, where you're spending your advertising dollars, if your marketing is aligning with your ideal client, is going to completely align with the people who start reaching out to you. That answer, Nina? Okay, great. I'm going to pick on Princess and Angela. I think they're on here. Tell me what your thoughts are. Princess, I see you smiling.
You want to say anything first, or should I go first? You go first. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, so I'd have Princess maybe turn there's echo, but I don't hear it anymore.
I think this is great information. I loved it. Now, I've met with Chanel and done some individual coaching, but I'm so glad I participated today because I feel like there's more information that you shared. And I really liked the fact that you point out how much better our business is going to be when we really focus on those ideal clients. And you listed some benefits about, repeat business, more referrals, better reviews. But I wrote some notes that it's more fun working with the people that you like, right? It's more fun, it's more money. But,
yes.
But going back to that fun, and you said it at the end, having a business that aligns with your ideal clients allows you to do something that you really enjoy, because you're working with those people that appreciate your value. And that means a lot to me. And the fact that you can make more money working with people you enjoy, I'm like, what a perfect combination, we have in doing that. I know that like someone else here had said, I've also worked with a lot of clients over the years that are different, that my focus has changed, that don't line up with my avatar of my new ideal client, and learning to let go or delegate that to someone else on my team. It involves some trust, some faith, some risk, because, you've got a bird in a hand, so to speak, that you're going to let go so that you can pursue, the people that you really want. But I know that over time, that's the best thing to do. I know that when I
You're
look at
right.
my
And
business,
I'm literally the example, Angela. I am the
yeah,
example because I had 3 boys at home. Ford wasn't working. I was terrified, had financial stress and financial scarcity at that point. So I was taking anything. But what ended up happening is I was exhausted. My marriage was not doing well because I was never home. I was too tired to be with the kids. And we had a little money in the bank, but I was also dealing with massive problems and issues with the transactions because I was just taking anything that was coming my way. So I'm telling you, believe in who you are, believe in what you bring to the table. And if you all will truly take a moment to figure out who your ideal client is and have that faith in yourselves that you are worth it 100%, and that you should only work with people who respect you and see your value, then all day long, you're going to see an exponential increase in business. Guaranteed. $52 million last year, guys. And it's only with people that I like working with. So there's massive abundance for all of you if you make the choice to work with the people you want to work with. Thank you for sharing, Angela.
Do you still want me to share?
I would love to, Princess.
So when I think about your overall presentation, it was extremely inspirational. Fortunately, Andrew, can you turn your, sorry. Fortunately, Angela and I are in the same space right now, so you can hear us, hear the other, excuse me. So fortunately, I joined a team when I first got into real estate, my very first year in real estate, who taught me to understand the value that I bring to the table and not to just anyone. However, it was never presented from this particular perspective as you presented it to us today. And one of the things that I really love about this is it challenges me to think, like, on the lowest level possible, what does it look like for me to live up to my highest potential? And how much money will I make when I'm living up to my highest potential? And so if we're asking ourselves that question, we can't help but do the work. And doing this work, I love feeling challenged. And I feel challenged right now. I am going to go write out what my ideal client is. I have some bullet points here, but when I look at it, I'm like, I want to write it out how Chanel wrote hers out. I want them to be a past client or referral. I want them to be aligned with my values. I want them to be easy to work with, right? But I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. And I appreciate you sharing with us your dissertation on the client that is that is ideal to you. So I most certainly plan to do that. I appreciate that because it is challenging me to think differently. And I think being able to identify this client in that way is going to help me really live up to my own highest potential.
I love that. Well, I thank you, Princess, so much. Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate everybody today. It was just such an honor to hold this space for Nate and Austin. And I am going to send out that ideal client list. This is for you guys. So if you're up to the challenge to live your best life and to truly only work with people who align with all the value you bring to the table, yes, Mike Matkin, I'm talking to you, my friend. I'm telling you, you have a choice, number one. You 100% have a choice, and you have so much value to bring to the table. I never want you to cut yourself short. So I appreciate you. I thank you so much, and I wish you the best week ahead.
Thank you.